As we all know that the mainstream media always exaggerating things when they try to deceive you or they want you to worship something. And they hype up the events by using science, mystical stories, and more importantly is using celebrities to promote such events or thing that they want you to worship. Eclipses are one of those events that they hype up for the past, I believe, at least 10 years. They've been using science and all sorts of deceiving messages to force the public into worshiping eclipses. So they make eclipses such a trendy, beautiful thing that a lot of people worshiping eclipses already, and they have been fall into this trap ever since, like, I don't know when. Why the mainstream media try to push eclipses in front of our faces? It's because the Satanists, they worship eclipses, and they not only worship eclipses but also they do rituals. They perform rituals during the eclipses, so that they can achieve, something that they want to achieve. And let's see. And of course, they will have some sacrifices during the rituals. So to sum up, eclipses actually are regarding as omens, bad omens. But nobody knows anymore. I mean, the majority of the people don't know anymore because, of course, any ancient records, we have no access to those, and so that we can never understand what's going on and the knowledge behind such astronomical event. Okay. How eclipses were regarded as omens in the ancient world. Eclipses as omens. More than 2,000 years ago, the Babylonians were able to calculate that there were 38 possible eclipses within a period of 223 months. Notice that it's a reverse of 322. That is about 18 years. Again, 18 is 6 times 3 is equal to 18. So 666. 6 plus 6 plus 6. This period of 2 to 3 months is called a Saros cycle by modern astronomers, and a sequence of eclipses separated by a Saros cycle constitutes a Saros series. The level of astronomical knowledge achieved in ancient Babylonia, southern Mesopotamia, cannot be separated from the astrological tradition that regarded eclipses as omens. Astronomy and astrology were then two sides of the same coin. Rituals to preempt royal fates. According to Babylonian scholars, eclipses could foretell the death of the king. The conditions of an omen to be considered as such were not simple. For instance, according to a famous astronomical work known by its initial works, when the gods Anu and Anu, if Jupiter was visible during the eclipse, the king was safe. Lunar eclipses seem to have been of particular concern for the well being and survival of the king. In order to preempt the monarch's fate, a mechanism was devised the substitute king ritual. There are over 30 mentions of this ritual in various letters from Assyria, northern Mesopotamia, dating to the first millennium BC. Okay, how do they how did they do that? Saving the king. In this ritual, a person would be chosen to replace the king. He would be dressed like the king and placed on the throne. To avoid confusion with a real coronation, all this would occur alongside the recitation of the negative omen triggered by the observation of the eclipse. The real king would keep a low profile and avoid being seen. If no additional negative portents were observed, the substitute king was put to death, therefore fulfilling the prophetic reading of the celestial omen while saving the life of the real king. This ritual would take place when an eclipse was observed or even predicted, something that became possible to do in later periods. In ancient China, a chronicle of early China known as the Bamboo Annals refers to a total lunar eclipse that took place in 1059 BC. Again, there's a 59 here. During the reign of the last king of the Shang dynasty. In the later account contained in the Bamboo Annals, an eclipse would have triggered the political and military events that marked the transition from the Shang to the Zhou dynasty in ancient China. So, which means its significance not only predict the the life of the monarch, the king, but also predict the political and military events that will trigger the end of one era to the new era. The complexity of human events is rarely constrained and determined by one single factor. Nevertheless, whether in ancient Mesopotamia or in early China, eclipses and other omens provided contemporary justifications or after the fact explanations for an entangled set of variables that decided a specific course of history. So, this is just two examples of eclipses that will bring in the human society, but I'm sure there are other bad omens that eclipses as a sign for those. So at the same time, eclipses, for example, the ring of fire eclipses is like a ring. And some of you have already known that a ring represents power. If that ring possess magical, esoterical powers, and the owner owns that ring and put it on, of course, on the ring finger, then it's like the law of the rings. That person or that I don't know, that being could rule the world. Um, so that's why the Law of the Rings, the movie series, actually is telling you what is the ring all about and how they've been fighting against each other, like between sickness, using witchcrafts to fight against each other to gain that ring. The ring to rule the world is a very powerful ring, and that ring usually has markings of I don't know, witchcraft symbols, geometrical symbols. So, which means that particular ring has magical power. So, which leads to the symbolic of a ring actually is not for wedding, and it's not representing love.